Okay, normally I wait to finish a book before I bring it to you guys, but this book is just so interesting and so valuable, and it's a new favorite of mine. It really is, and I really want you guys to pick up this book for the simple reason. This is Carl Jung talking about his own life, and the significance of that is Carl Jung is perhaps the greatest psychologist who ever lived, and he actively chose to analyze himself. He actively chose to practice what he preached, and this is very much different through most psychologists. Like, if you look into Sigmund Freud's background, like, he never allowed anyone to analyze him. He never allowed anybody to look into his past, to look into the circumstances that led him to be who he became. And because of that, like, his biases, his views were never taken out of psychology. His theories were great, but at the same time, they were limited in the sense that, like, Freud had an obsession with sexuality, and Jung was trying to probe into this to really understand why he was so fixated on everything is sexual, and if it's not considered sexual, then it's psychosexual. Like, it's so weird how he fixated on these things, but like, you're actively seeing Carl Jung grow and mature and become one of the most influential men in the entire Western world. And it's just a tremendous book, and I'll go through a few of the sections that I've already talked about. I already talked a little bit about Freud, his relationship with Freud, and it's very interesting to see how that broke down, because Carl Jung basically differed on a few things. He believed more in the spirit, he believed more in the unexplained phenomena that is very significant to individuals, and Freud just, pushed this off as nonsense, and that's where the rift really started. But it's also really interesting to see Carl Jung, conceptualize his upbringing, because I hate to say it, but like, pretty much all of us have things from our childhood that we wish we didn't experience, that you just face trials when you're coming of age. You really just face things that you didn't want to face at this time. Like, you want to stay in that, that Neverland phase, like that Peter Pan thing of like never growing up. But at a certain point, you're faced with the realities of life. You're faced with the realities of your parents, and that they're not these eternal beings. They're not gods. They're not perfect. They have their flaws, and they don't always work on their flaws. And it's very interesting to see that one of the greatest minds is talking himself through this, and that's the only reason I would suggest reading this book. Like, the other point of this book is that it's simple. When Carl Jung writes his other books, The Undiscovered Self, Psychology and Alchemy, The Red Book, all of that other stuff, like, it's not intended for everyone to read, but it's an autobiography. It's not meant to be dense. It's not meant to be scientific. It's not meant to, put forth a new theory. It's really just summarizing the points and going over them in a simple and non like granular way. And I really appreciate that perspective, because you read most of Jung's works, and they're trying to convince the scientific world of his beliefs. And if you know anything about science, you know how dumb they are and how unable they are to use logic, because if there's not a study that supports it, then they don't believe it to be true, and you need all this empirical evidence, and you really can't just talk them through it. You can't explain through, trial and error, and coming to these assumptions. And it's like, it's a nice change of pace, because I really do love Carl Jung's authentic voice. When you read his works, you can see his philosophy bleed through. You can see his beliefs bleed through. But I feel like it really gets caught up in that want to be respected in terms of a scientific, community. And it's almost frustrating, because you're like, I almost wish he became a philosopher, just for the fact that he could just speak his mind and not have to prove things. Like, you hear him talk about Nietzsche, and you're holy shit, I can't speak. You hear him talk about Nietzsche, and you're thinking, like, he almost venerates Nietzsche for just being able to say what he wants and not having to prove it, because that's just a great feeling. And you know what? It's really an inspirational book. I think you should pick it up if you liked any of the things I've said, because this book's tremendous. I promise you, when I finish this book, I'm going to go through it. I might even go through more sections, more chapters, but this is a new favorite book of mine, and it's honestly a pleasure reading. Like, a lot of the stuff I read, I don't enjoy. A lot of the stuff I read, it's like, okay, I'm learning a lot, but it's not fun to read. It's not interesting. But like, Carl Jung sprinkles in enough stories. There's enough just overarching details that make it stimulating. And one of my favorite stories from the book is, I'll share two, but one of them is Carl Jung was experimenting with hypnosis, and he was showing a few students in a lecture how effective hypnosis can be. So there's 20 students. There's this one woman. She comes in on crutches. She lays down, and Carl Jung it's like, all right, I'm gonna put you into a hypnotic state. I'm gonna put you into a trance, and she immediately goes into a trance without him doing anything. And for the next 10 minutes, he's trying to wake her up, and he's like trying to keep his cool, trying to make sure the students don't know how much he's freaking out. She eventually wakes up and she springs up. She's like, I'm cured. And he literally didn't do anything. He was just trying to wake her up for 10 minutes. And, this basically was the first hint of notoriety he got. And this was the first source of private clients that he got. And it's just hilarious to see that he kind of just fluked his way through it. And then another funny story is he basically discovered that schizophrenic people, when they mumble, when they say things, it's somewhat related to their psychosis. It's somewhat related to their neurosis and their trauma. And if you can find the link, you can perhaps fix these people. And Jung is explaining this to Freud, and Freud goes, you might be onto something, but how could you spend so much time with such a repulsive woman? And it's just what the fuck? This is the father of modern psychology saying this to another, really respected person. It took me so off, it was just crazy to me. And then another really, really cool thing is it almost shows Jung was born to be a psychologist. He almost had an innate ability to heal people, because he had semi-clairvoyant experiences. He was able to somewhat use dream and the dream world and the astral plane to solve cases, because there was this woman and she had some religious neurosis. She had some religious issues, and she was very afraid of God. And then Jung was thinking about this. Then he goes to sleep and he has a dream, and in that dream it gives the explanation of how to fix this woman, and he brings that to the woman and she's instantly healed. And it's almost miraculous how quick it is. And you're just yeah, this guy was born to do this. This guy had some crazy abilities. Some people are born to be, basketball players. Some people are born to be one of the greatest minds in history. And, it's just an awesome book. I really think you should pick it up. And if this doesn't inspire you to pick up this book, I don't know what will. But yeah, I'll leave a link to this book in the description. Carl Jung's one of my favorite authors. One of the most fun people to read, because the things he teaches you are just... It's psychology mixed with mysticism. It's psychology, but it takes into account religion and the more fantastical elements of the human brain. And I think that's just so fun to learn about. We can learn about all these diseases and all these things, but it's so much more fun to learn about, the unconscious and how it imprints certain things on us, and how we can interpret these things to actively change our life and change our reality. So yeah, overall, great book. I can't wait to finish it, and hopefully it inspires you to pick up this book. And stay tuned for the entire breakdown of this book. That video will probably be out in the next week or so. But yeah, I just wanted to bring this to you guys today because I'm having so much fun reading it. So why shouldn't I bring it to you guys as well? And if you want more from me, join my Discord. On top of that, I have a paid community, $5 a month right now. I'm going to outline all of the major ideas of Carl Jung and how you can apply them into your life to really skyrocket your growth, skyrocket your progress. That is in the works right now. I would go ahead and join that because the price is going to go up very, very soon. And the price you get in at is the price you're going to be locked at forever. I'm not going to disband my group and make people pay exorbitant amounts. I'm just happy to see the growth of the channel. I'm happy to see the support. And what? I know I can offer a lot of good quality information, and yeah, it's fun. It's a process of growth, and I just want to say thank you for all the support. Thank you for everything that you guys have done for me. It means the world to me. It's one thing for me to film these videos, but if you guys don't like the videos, if you guys don't watch them to the end, if you guys don't actively engage in them and come back to the channel, this message doesn't get spread. So however much it feels like I've helped you guys have helped me so much more. And to end this, I'll just say one thing I'm thankful for. Today I'm thankful for just waking up and being able to enjoy life. I'm going to stream myself watching the UFC fights. I don't know if I'm going to do play-by-play. I don't know if I'm going to, just talk in between or, kind of just hang out. But you know what? I'm excited, and it's on to bigger and better things, and it's always trying something new, always doing something you were afraid to do. Because if you can chase one fear each day, if you can slowly face the things that are, causing you anguish and pain and discomfort, like that's life. That's the true purpose of life. And I think it was Emerson that said exactly what I just said. So it's not just me rambling. Thank you guys so much for making this far. Love all you guys. Peace out.